We're delving into Grasshopper complex, but first and foremost, let me ask, what is a complex? What is a complex? A complex is an internal perspective of life and situations that creates a social reaction. It creates a restriction or limitation in somebody's mind, right? It is something that a person sees in their mind that creates a restriction for them, a limitation on them, tight boundaries on what they can do or become. Let me go again. A complex is an internal perspective. It's in your head. It's something people hold in their heads about their life and situation. And this mindset or frame of reference or lens by which they perceive their reality puts a restriction or limitation in terms of what they can do or become. What do we mean by grasshopper complex? The grasshopper complex is a self-limiting mindset that makes the person cower and shudder in the sight of great opportunity. It makes the person hide and run away from the challenge of greatness. With every greatness, there is challenge. The Hebrews were on the verge of entering the land which God had promised them. They discovered the giants were in the land. But bottom line, something you need to realize, you will never come across blessings. You will never come across any blessings without finding giants and obstacles and mountains in the way of your blessings. There is never a promise without giants. It comes with the territory. And note this, that all the 12 spies were unanimous in recognizing that there were giants. There was consensus of this fact. Faith, living in faith does not mean ignoring the obvious. So all 12, without doubt, said yes, there were giants in the land. As a Christian, recognizing a problem does not mean admitting doubt. Note this, you cannot go from slavery to rulership without having to defeat giants. To move from slavery to taking territory, to living your purpose, to living your destiny, to becoming that what God has called you to be, you will have to defeat giants. But the greatest battle you will always have to fight in your life is not a physical battle. The greatest battle you will have to fight in your life is not a physical battle. As the Apostle Paul says, the weapons of our warfare are not physical. The greatest battle you will have to fight in your life is a mental battle. The greatest theater of warfare where the devil or Satan wages war against the children of God is in their minds. The primary theater, the primary place where your adversary, the devil, is seeking to dominate you is not physical, it's in your mind, it is mental, it is in your head. The greatest adversary you will encounter is twisted thinking. The battle of your life is in your mind. That is the primary site where the enemy is waging war against you. And that is the primary site you, as a child of God, will need to take captive. The primary side of warfare is in your mind, and the primary location you need to take captive to win is your mind. You must admit that something exists before you can confront it successfully. All the spies were unanimous that there were giants in the land. However, 10 of the spies were giant conscious, whilst 2 were God conscious. Let me go again. 10 of the spies were giant conscious, whilst 2 of the spies were God conscious. For 10, the greatness of the giants dominated their minds. The obstacle they saw in the land dominated their minds. For 2, the greatness of God dominated their minds. Whatever dominates your mind becomes. The predominant occupation of your life is what will happen to you. What you focus on in your mind becomes. So it's really important that you attract what you focus on. So if you focus on failure, you would see failure. If you focus on success, if you focus on winning, winning would come. What you focus on is what you attract in your life. What dominates your mind becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The children of Israel's confession is that next to them, referring to the giants, we felt like grasshoppers. And that's what they too saw of us. The Israelites, the children of Israel, failed to see themselves as God saw them. They failed to see themselves as God's chosen people, backed by the promises of the creator of the universe. God had promised to give them the land of Canaan, which was a land flowing with blessings. As we face challenges in life, we must see ourselves as God sees us, not as what we appear next to the obstacles. We need to realize that God loves us and has promised to help us to overcome adversity and sin in our lives. It is in God's interest that we are successful. Because if we fail, the reputation of God is at stake. Pay attention to this. It is in the interest of God that you are successful. Whenever a product fails, the reputation of the manufacturer is at stake. My question is, if I purchase an iPhone and my iPhone doesn't work, whose reputation is at stake? The manufacturer. Steve Jobs' reputation is at stake if the iPhone does not function as it is purposed to function. In the same way, as a child of God, you should know that it's in the interest of heaven that you win and are successful. Because if you do not win, if you do everything that God says has asked you to do and you do not win, it's the reputation of God. God watches over his word to perform it. So insofar as you stuck to his word, he will fulfill it. Because he's not a man that he should lie. But let's go back to what the children of Israel said. To ourselves, we seemed like grasshoppers. We had become like grasshoppers. It's important to know that you will become what you perceive. You will become what you perceive. Also, remember that your conversation reveals whether you are a winner or a loser. You as a child of God belong to Christ. And it's important that you need to cultivate the mind of Christ. It's important that your mind needs to be aligned with God and his word and what his word says about you. Pay attention to this. I talk about your mind being steeped, being saturated, being revivified, being renewed by his word.